Yo, 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 what is up? My name is Colin Michkowski, aka Ghost Panda, in the place to be. As always, I hope you're having a wonderful, wonderful day. And today we are going to talk about Dark Souls Remastered. And as you may have known, this was a big announcement that occurred early this, obviously in the new year for the gaming world, that the beloved Dark Souls, the original Dark Souls, is going to be remastered. It's going to be on Xbox One, PS4, PC, and the Nintendo Switch, and it's going to be available on May 25th. And let me just start off by saying, like, I'm a huge fan of the series. I played pretty much all of them. The only ones I didn't play was Dark Souls 2, and I didn't play Demon Souls, but I played the first one, I played the third one, and I also played Bloodborne. I actually have Bloodborne on my TV screen right now as we speak right now. So I mean, so I'm a fan. I'm a fan of the series, and I know those of you who are listening to this right now are also fans of the series. And by the way, this is my first podcast for YouTube. I guess that, I never done a podcast on YouTube. I've done podcasts in the past, but this is the first time I've done it for YouTube. And since the game isn't out, obviously, so we're just talking about it right now, kind of speculating what will be in the game, or what changes the game might have compared to the original version of the game. And right off the bat, I just think it's gonna be kind of the same type of game. Obviously, you hope that there's gonna be some graphical enhancements. There's gonna be graphical enhancements, obviously, like with any other remastered edition of a game. And you hope the who knows, maybe you might see some improvements to combat. Maybe there may be some weapons that might have different uses. Like lately, or in like Dark Souls 3, for example, each weapon has multiple skills that you can use, or they have a thing called a skill, which you can use on most weapons. And maybe they will include that in the remastered version of the first game. So that would be kind of cool right off the bat. But I think it's gonna be the same type of game. I mean, you're gonna have the same bosses. I don't think there's gonna be no new bosses or nothing like that. I'll be extremely shocked if there are some new bosses and things like that. But I think they still will make some minor changes. Obviously, fix some of the issues that they did have in the first game, and include that into the remastered version of the game and stuff. So, but I think it's gonna be great. They're gonna have the it's in Japan, but they're gonna have the trilogy that you can get. So I mean, you would obviously have to see if you could get it from Japan somehow. But I'm sure eventually they're gonna have that trilogy over in the United States as well. The trilogy is gonna have Dark Souls 1, Dark Souls 2, and Dark Souls 3, along with all the DLCs in each game. And it'll also include some other things as well. It will include, let's see here, I got it up on the screen. It will also include, additionally, it will have soundtracks for each of the games, night and bonfire bookings, an encyclopedia, and a special art set. And it has not been announced for other regions, obviously. So I mean, so that's kind of cool. They're kind of, since the series is over, sadly, they're kind of like, this is the legacy of this great game. And with me being a big fan, one of the things I always loved about the series was that, especially with the first game too, but the classic level to level gameplay. It's almost like you're playing a classic arcade style game. Like, I don't know, when you think of classic level to level games, Mario games or Sonic the Hedgehog and games like that. Only it's a totally different atmosphere, totally different everything. I mean, obviously it's much more intense, and obviously, and all that stuff. But it has that classic level to level gameplay. And then obviously the boss battles, they put heavy emphasis on the boss battles, and that's another thing I loved. Again, it brought me back. It kind of brought me back to my childhood a little bit, I guess you can say. It probably brings a lot of us back to our childhood, obviously. But we obviously can't just we couldn't just get all excited because we're too busy running and sweating and everything else, because we're like just going crazy because we're trying to run away from all the crazy enemies that are trying to kill us and tear us into shreds. So it wasn't like, it's like, let's reminisce. You can't do that. So yeah, but that's one of the things I liked about it. Obviously the combat style is fantastic. The ambiance in the game is in the series itself has always been terrific. There's no music when you're going through areas and all like that. The only time you'll hear music is if it's a special area or if it's a boss battle. And then, which follow up with the music side of things, I mean the boss music is always fantastic on most of the bosses. So I mean it's just terrific stuff. I downloaded a lot of the boss music and used it for different production, used it as different for different production elements and things like that. So and the music just fantastic in the series. So, but yeah, that's a couple of things I loved about the game. Obviously, the online is unique as well in the series because, as you know, you can enjoy cooperation, jolly cooperation. You can enjoy that without having to ruin your story mode and ruin your journey. So then that's one of the things I kind of like isn't I mean it's still your story, but then you could have other players tag along and help you out, with bosses and stuff like that. And then after that, then you're right back on your own again. And then when you need the help again, then obviously you can summon somebody for help. And then it was also a great way to farm souls and things like that. So, God, man, I've helped out a ton of people and stuff like that. So, or at least tried to help a lot of people. I'm not the greatest player in the world. I've gotten decent over the last few years or whatever, I put a lot of time into the game, but I'm still not that good. So it's not as good as, a lot of people out there. But, it's been, cool kind of to use the kind of co-op and help other people and then farm souls and do stuff like that as well. And then help people beat bosses and stuff like that. And that's kind of the beauty of it. You get the chance to help other people who are really struggling in the game. And as we know, the game can be really stressful. So, I mean, that's just some of the things I like about the game. And by the way, you can actually, I wrote a story for GameSkinny.com, and the story is basically just saying reasons why Dark Souls, the original Dark Souls, is still so good 6 years later. And so I'll post a link to that story in the description below. But yeah, so I wrote kind of a pretty long form story. It was like 1,500 words or whatever, kind of just talking about the different things why it's so good 6 years later. And so I just kind of talk about that in there, and I kind of talk about some of the things that in that story that I'm telling you right now. Like the classic level gameplay, the bosses, and stuff like that. And I get more into detail with that story and stuff like that as well. Now for me, Bloodborne is probably my favorite game. Bloodborne's probably my favorite game. So, believe it or not. So, I mean, if you're a Soulsborne fan, and if you're a fan of the series, and and you're probably more accustomed to the first game, so like that, then you hear me saying, "Oh yeah, Bloodborne is the best game." Then, well, you might say, "Hey, what about that first game?" It's close. It is close. It could be the first game, it could be Bloodborne. I mean, like, it's close for me. It's very close between the first game and Bloodborne. But if I had a choice, I'd probably get the edge to Bloodborne because the combat was just so perfect, in my opinion. It's just so perfect, and the graphics obviously are amazing. But you can't even say something about the graphics because, well, one game is on the PS3 and the other one's on the PS4. So, but it's a tight one though. It's a very tight one for sure between those two. One of the other things I liked about Dark Souls 1 is that it has such an amazing variety of locations. You're not going through the same locations over and over again. It's different locations, and that's one of the beauties of the game, is that you get a chance to experience all these different locations, check them out, and go against unique bosses and stuff like that. So I mean, it's really cool that they have these different varying locations, and that's another thing I mentioned in the story I wrote too. And because like in the later games, there's different locations, but not like in the first game. The first game just takes you to like so many places. I mean, when I was playing through it, I was like, oh my goodness, I'm like, where am I going now? Where am I going now? Some places really dark and scary. Some places are beautiful. I mean, like a Norlando is pretty, or the Painted World of Ariamis, if I'm saying that right. And it's like that. So those are some beautiful locations. And you got the dark, creepy places like the depths, or Blight Town's kind of creepy-ish. Certainly, New Londo ruins is definitely creepy. So you got some, the locations just vary, and one of the things I've found out or heard was that the first Dark Souls game was supposed to be a one-time deal. It's supposed to be just a one-time thing. So there wasn't supposed to be a Dark Souls 2 or a Dark Souls 3 or a Bloodborne. Maybe there could still be a Bloodborne, but there probably wasn't gonna be no Dark Souls 2 or 3. But you can tell by playing through Dark Souls 1, you can tell that they meant to make it a one-time thing because it's so deep. It takes a while to get through. There's so many different locations all over the map. I mean, it's just so you could tell that they were expecting Dark Souls 1 to be the one and only game to come out for the series. But with a lot of demand, when you make a masterpiece like that, when you make one of the greatest games of all time like that, a lot of people are gonna be demanding, okay, hey, where's Dark Souls 2 and Dark Souls 3? Now, when we talk about that, obviously, when we talk about these all-time great games, like Journey for me is probably the best game I've ever played. But they're not gonna make a Journey 2. They're not gonna make a sequel to Journey. They're not. And there's some games that don't need a sequel, and then there's some games that I wouldn't mind if they took a crack at, like Dark Souls. I'd be like, okay, I think you should go ahead and make a second one or a third one. And they made a second and third one, and then they all did well. I mean, I know a lot of people don't like Dark Souls 2. Now, of course, I never played Dark Souls 2 yet, but I plan on doing it. But a lot of people don't like Dark Souls 2, but it still got a lot of high scores, and a lot of people still enjoyed it overall. It's just that amongst the Soulsborne community, as the nerds like to call it, Soulsborne, amongst the Soulsborne community, a lot of people say, well, it sucks, and it's like that, but still had such high scores and got the respectability from a lot of the gamers out there, and stuff like that. And that just shows you how great the series really is when your one game that sucks, supposed to be bad, is receiving getting rave reviews. So that just tells you how great of a series it is. And so that, so yeah, man, I think there's certain all-time great games that do deserve sequels. And so that, then there's some that you just don't mess with, and you just say, you know what, just put out one game like Journey. Just put out the one game, and then that's it. But a game like Dark Souls is like, why not? Why not? But at the end of the day, it's always gonna go back to the first one, because that's the one that kind of got things going. That was the one that was kind of the beginning of pure greatness. And then I know they had Demon Souls as well, and Demon Souls was supposed to be fantastic also. But then obviously Dark Souls, when that came out, it was like, immediately the difficulty got to you. I mean, I don't know how many times I've I put a lot of hours into some of these games, and again, not like some people do. I mean, some people, I know a lot of you played every single game in the series. So, but I mean, no, Dark Souls 1 and 3 and Bloodborne, I mean, I put quite a bit of hours into all three of them. And, and I mean, it's like every corner. You go around every corner, and then it's like, you might have a chance to get killed around every corner. And it just your blood just like raises up. It's crazy, because you're like, oh my god, you'd be like just very cautious on your P's and Q's. You're like, oh god, like I used to always like walk, like a lot of times. Like if I felt like, oh, the place was too quiet or whatever, I'd be like, all right, let me just go in, just walk a little bit. I'm not gonna go in and just run or whatever. Let me just go ahead and just walk and just go slow and everything else. I'm not just gonna go into it. Especially because you might have earned a lot of souls and stuff like that. So when you earn a lot of souls, then you don't want to lose those souls. You don't want to lose your humanity and stuff like that. So you don't want to lose all of those things. And that's another thing about the first game is the the humanity. You can lose your humanity. Like, okay, in Dark Souls 3 you have embers, and that's your that's essentially be humanities in that game. And so you can keep those embers even if you die. You lose your souls, but you keep your embers. But in the first game, you lose your humanity, you lose your souls, all that stuff. Now you only obviously lose the humanity that you consume, and that's on the top left corner of your screen. No, if you have humanity in your inventory, then you'll be straight. You'll be like, okay, well, I lost my humanities, but I do have some extra ones in inventory. But obviously, like when you help people co-op and stuff like that, and this is one thing I hope that they change in the remastered version of it. I mean, it's just me. I mean, it's just me. But when you help somebody in co-op and you win, you get the humanities, but it goes into the circle in the top left corner of the screen instead of giving you humanities to put in your inventory. And that's why I hope they that's one little tiny thing that I hope they can maybe do in the put in the remastered version of it. I'm sure they probably won't think about it, but I'm sure that would be something that'd be nice. So that way you can have the humanities in your inventory. So that way you don't have to have that risk of had to take the risk of losing those humanities when you die. You know, as simple as that. But some other things to look for in the game. I mean, again, I'm not expecting a whole lot of changes in the game. I mean, just enhanced graphics and things like that. And maybe the weapons might have a little extra skill to them, maybe, and all that type of stuff. But But if you're thinking you're probably gonna see new bosses and stuff like that, I highly doubt it. I don't think there's gonna be changes like that. I mean, that's just me. I don't think there's gonna be like new bosses and new locations and all that type of stuff. It's just gonna be improved graphics. It's gonna. I mean, the game's gonna look gorgeous without a doubt. I mean, it looks good on the PS3. So imagine remastered on the PS4. It's gonna look stunning, especially some of those beautiful locations that I mentioned earlier. And it's like that, or like the Dark Garden, or if you got the DLC, the Tourist of the Abyss DLC, the Sanctuary Garden and stuff like that. That stuff's gonna look gorgeous on the PS4 or the Xbox One or whatever current gen console you're playing. Nintendo Switch and all those. And PC, can't forget about PC. and stuff. I'm coming on 20 minutes, so I'll be wrapping it up here pretty shortly. But yeah, this was just kind of letting you know, okay, there's a remastered version coming out. What some of the other things to keep an eye out for. Just kind of throwing out a couple of little things that I would like to see improved or whatever. Just what will be in there. There's gonna be improved graphics and stuff like that, and just kind of talking about the series as a whole. Just how great the game is and what it brought to the table that changed the face of video games forever. This game has inspired other games. I mean, it inspired Nioh. And Nioh's a fantastic game. I mean, that's one of my favorite games currently right now. It's a terrific game. I love the Japanese culture. I love the samurai ninja type stuff like that. So and it inspired that game. I believe it inspired is it Nier, if I'm saying that right, Nier Automata, which is another real good game too, obviously, and it inspired Dark Souls kind of inspired both of those games really, and I'm sure it's inspired other games as well, So I mean, that just shows you the powerful impact the game has had on the gaming world, and so yeah, so it's gonna be really cool. Dark Souls Remastered is gonna be coming out May 25th, like I mentioned, and it's gonna be lit, as they say. So it's definitely gonna be lit and stuff. I mean, it's gonna, it's gonna look great. It's gonna play great. And then I also saw real quick that you'll be able to do co-op with up to 6 players. So that's kind of neat. So it could be a little bit of a party, I guess you can say. So, because I mean, instead of it being up to 3 to 4 players, it's gonna be up to 6 players. That's like that. So and I still got the PS3 version of the game too. So I'm gonna be getting it on the PS4, so I can go ahead and play it on the PS4 and see how it looks and stuff like that. So yeah, but just to throw it out there again, the Dark Souls Remastered edition is going to be out on May 25th on the PS4, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch, and the PC. If you're in Japan, or maybe you know how to get stuff from Japan, then they have the Dark Souls Trilogy, which you can get, which includes Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3, and the DLCs for all of those. a I keep forgetting what else. The soundtracks for each of the games, a night and bonfire bookends, an encyclopedia, and a special art set. Now, of course, they might throw that out there and bring it to the U.S. So I would, if you can't get it from Japan, then you could go ahead and wait until they bring it out in the U.S. or to put it out in the U.S. So there's definitely a lot of cool things to look forward to. I mean, it's gonna be, that was one of the biggest announcements of the year, already, with in terms of the gaming world, because it's such a beloved series, it's such a beloved game. Dark Souls is, even despite its pure difficulty and everything else, it's still a beloved game and stuff like that. So it's definitely exciting, and I'm looking forward to it. I know, and I hope you guys are looking forward to it as well. And again, I have that story on Game Skinny, which is talking about, like, it's like 6 reasons I think why Dark Souls is still so great 6 years later, or whatever, 6 or 7 reasons, whatever it was. It might have been 5 and stuff like that. So I'll be having that link in the description below, like I said. And that's gonna do it for me. You can follow me on Twitter at Shy Golf Radio. That is CHI Golf Radio. I am talking about sports, gaming, everything else. I'm talking about just a whole variety of stuff, except politics. I'm not big on politics. So I'm talking mostly gaming and sports and stuff like that. So you can hit me up on there, and my DMs are open. So if you want to slide into the DMs, then you can do that as well. You can follow me on, or I mean, you can subscribe to the channel, of course. Leave a like, comment, do whatever you want. I mean, get the conversation started. What are you looking forward to in the Dark Souls Remastered Edition? What do you want to see in the Dark Souls Remastered Edition? Please, please, please feel free to leave a comment in below, and then just let me know what you think. Tell me what you would love to see, and so that get the discussion going, get the conversation going, because it's gonna be a lot of fun and stuff like that. So you can subscribe to the channel. You can also find me on Reddit as well. I just signed up for Reddit, so I'm trying to get a feel for it on there. That Reddit is Ghost Panda Colin. So you can find me on there, Ghost Panda Colin, on Reddit. And yeah, that's about it. So that's gonna do it for me, and I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day. Peace, adios, sayonara. Ghost Panda out of here.
Sweet child of Kos, turned to the ocean. A bottomless curse, a bottomless sea, accepting of all that there is and can be.